Hey guys, it's your favorite Donabot here, and welcome back to part 2 of What If Balerion was in Transformers Prime here. And so, this is actually going to be adding some new things to the Prime verse here, considering the sheer fact that, well, maybe I'll just leave that as a surprise for later on in the seasons. But, without further ado, let us begin here. Our story picks up on the Decepticon warship here. Megatron is still in critical condition. He's stabilized thanks to the efforts of Knockout here. However, Knockout simply does tell Soundwave and Starscream that Megatron will still need further repairs here. Yes, his Dark Energon is keeping him alive, and the stuff that he's done to him allows him to maintain at least consciousness here. However, for right now, he is in a dire state, and he cannot lead. To which Starscream kind of gets a little, giddy about this. Megatron, unable to lead. Why, of course he would still be in command after all, until their Lord and Master makes a swift recovery. And so Starscream decides that maybe the best bet right now is to contact help here. To which this is where Knockout and him begin to discuss what kind of help. I mean, well, what do you expect us to really do? We can't match the Autobots no matter how many things we throw at them. We don't know where the Combaticons are, or even the Constructicons, or even the Stunticons. We have nothing, Starscream. To which this is where he says, "Oh, my dear Knockout, you can be so short-sighted. I wasn't talking about any Decepticon help here. What we're talking about is a very old project that Soundwave, Megatron, and Shockwave had worked on years ago. And so they actually state that they're going to hire somebody they know very well can get this task done. And so this is where we pan over to another ship at the far out reaches of space here, where another infamous Decepticon or neutral party is pretty much at play here, and this being Lockdown. And so when he receives a message from Starscream, he's a bit displeased by it. To which he says normally Megatron contacts him on this frequency. What's going on? To which this is where Starscream actually shows a very injured and, well, almost dead Megatron here. And this is where Lockdown says, "Whoa, what happened?" Starscream begins to explain the situation with the dragon at their disposal here. To which he says, "Dragon? They never leave Draco Prime. What do you mean there's a dragon on Earth?" To which Starscream says he doesn't know, but right now he does need a Lockdown to retrieve something, and he needs him to retrieve it from that planet now. To which this is where Lockdown pretty much looks at Starscream with an eye of revelation. "You don't mean, indeed, we need it here and now to restore our Lord and Master. We've conducted all the researches here. And unfortunately, without Shockwave, we are going to just have to gun it at the moment here." To which Knockout gives a very ominous hey, as if he's not the other scientist in the room here. To which Knockout pretty much gets an ear-piercing shut up from Starscream here. So, with that being said here, Lockdown heads to Draco Prime. But wait. You may ask, Legendary, what is this planet here? What did you create? Well, Draco Prime is pretty much interesting. This planet is filled with dragons, a variety. There's black, red, white, blue, and green. Each one inhabiting a certain environment. The Arctic, the desert, and the wastelands. Yes, the desert and wastelands are very different here. And so, these dragons all live on basically this huge planet. I would probably say 3 times the size of Earth, with their own fauna and animals here. And so this is where I would pretty much have Lockdown go towards the wastelands. It's a dark and eerie era with nothing but ruined castles and some civilizations here. However, his ship is cloaked at the moment, because one thing is very known about Draco Prime is that the dragons do not tolerate any invaders here. This planet has remained one of its strongest, or one of the strongest planets for years now. The dragons here are united and understand that they have to remain that way in order to protect their world from any invasion. Megatron had invaded this planet long ago to try and take its resources here, and actually did it with Trypticon. However, the dragons proved to be far too strong, far too menacing, and far too dangerous for him to even begin to invade here. And in that battle, Trypticon was killed, slaughtered even, which is why he has the nemesis the way it is now, where Trypticon is pretty much not the nemesis in this timeline. Because again, his remains would be actually used on this planet to further these human, or should I say the Saurus civilization here, to technological new heights. If you guys want a very good synopsis of this planet here, I would say it has the lizard men from Warhammer 40k with all their native fauna, but the dragons are at the peak of this planet. And there are some few other creatures in there as well here, but think of it as a overabundant lustria, if you will here. But again, the dragons from Dungeons and Dragons are pretty much the apexes here, with even sea dragons known as the, let's see if I can get this name right. The dragon of the sea here is Bakuwana, which is a sea dragon from Dungeons and Dragons here. Yes, it will be getting a video very, very soon once Wave 8 hits, and I will be doing Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons content back to back, just to be, keeping everything together, right? So, with that being said here, how does Lockdown go about this here? Well, utilizing the cloaking technology of his ship, as I said earlier, he makes his way to the planet's surface, scared, yet calm here. He's by himself and knows that this is a one-way trip, so he makes sure his ship is not only cloaked, but in a more secure place, so that if he gets out of there, he's able to get out of there quickly. And so Lockdown transforms, keeping himself with his cloaking technology, and drives forward towards an ancient temple here, where he barely goes unnoticed by a black dragon. These guys are aggressive, territorial, but again, highly intelligent here. And so, thanks to Lockdown being a Cybertronian, they don't catch his scent. And so Lockdown is able to make his way into the temple very, very quietly here. And so when this happens, he's able to even sneak past the Saurus and Carnosaur guards here. Because again, these guys are heavily formidable now, the fact that they are armed with Trypticon's technology. And so, with that being said here, he not only sneaks in, but he's able to successfully take the weapon and brings it back to his ship here. However, this does not go unnoticed, as with the guards pretty much alerting the death dragons, or the black dragons, excuse me here, they go on high alert here, even start burning the fields around them here. Not the ones that are, essential to the Saurus people here, but burning anything that, resembles anything wrong here. And so this is followed by the Carnosaurs, the Razordons, Stegodons, and Dreadsaurians of this area here, and has them sniffing it out here. And so Lockdown's movement is noticed despite him being cloaked here. And this is where a Saurus throws a technologically advanced spear right into Lockdown's, well, I guess you could say gas tank here. And this causes some immense pain to where it actually makes him lose his concentration and drops his cloaking. Now, Lockdown has to get out of there in a heartbeat. And we actually get some good scenes here. Considering they are one of the fastest creatures on this planet here, they are actually being chased, or Lockdown's being chased, by the Carnosaurs here. And it will resemble a sort of how would I say it? A Jurassic Park 3 T-Rex when he was, or Rexy, excuse me, when she was in her prime and chasing the Jeep here. Except the Karzos are not only probably 500 times faster than she is here, but they're chasing a Cybertronian car. And Lockdown is moving with so much emergence at the moment here, while a Death Dragon is keeping him pretty much in Eye's view, or Black Dragon, excuse me. Might call it Death Dragon repeatedly, so just know I do mean the Black Dragon as in pictured here. And so Lockdown tries to evade it, even using some of the ruins to try and trip them up here. However, this is where his path is blocked by a Stegodon that rams into him here. And so Lockdown at first feels like he's going to get surrounded until he uses his grapple hook to latch on to a crumbling part of the structure and brings it down around him here, using this moment to kind of get away for a moment. However, one thing is for certain. He has to make it to his ship with this weapon here. And so he begins avoiding everything, from the Dreadsaurians to the Death Dragon, pretty much just overlooking the area here. And so Lockdown makes his way to his ship. However, he gets caught at the very last moment by the Death Dragon. And so, with nothing else in the tank here, Lockdown deploys one thing, a fusion grenade, or a dimensional decimator, I should say. And so, when Lockdown throws it here, it actually opens a black hole in the Death Dragon's face here, allowing Lockdown to get into the ship, while the Death Dragon is not only able to overpower it, but crushes it in his hand here. And so, not one, not two, not even three, but whole a whole swarm of Death Dragons take to the sky and actually begin to burn their black flame at Lockdown's ship here. And so, before it takes any more damage, Lockdown punches it into hyperspace and gets out of there, barely, by the skin of his teeth here. And so, unfortunately, the Death Dragons have lost one of their relic weapons here. However, it's not a bad loss here, as they now know that a Cybertronian has taken it, and they will find where he is and exterminate him here. And so, where would we go from here? Well, let's talk about what's happening with the Autobots here. Balerion is actually giving Jack, Miko, and Raph a ride on his back here throughout the skies here. Considering he has grown very well adjusted to the Autobots at this point here, he actually decides to kind of give them a break and deal with their humans, taking them a ride and just flying around with them over and over as he pretty much makes dives over the ocean, excuse me. And so it actually is pretty beautiful here. However, he does have to remain hidden, as he can't risk humans, seeing him here. However, there are moments where Balerion does do acts of heroism, such as saving whales from a whaling ship here. While he doesn't kill the humans, he does capsize the boat here, so that, well, even if the humans or the whalers die, it's not going to be him that kills them. It's just going to be nature. And that's how it is here. And so when he takes them to a mountain peak that he normally visited back in those medieval times here, this is where Miko finally unloads with question after question after question here, wondering just how exactly did Balerion live his life after he, became this Cybertronian mutant dragon. To which Balerion gives a very honest answer. He served. He did what he normally did, and kind of just keep the Autobot cause, but for this round table of knights. And, his friend Merlin. Unfortunately, his friend died, kind of leaving him in a more depressed state here. So Miko also asks, did you serve any kings? Were you ridden by kings? To which he says yes. He served a dynasty known as the Targaryens, a very interesting lineage to say the least. He fought in many wars, fought against plethoras of mythical creatures over the years here. But obviously, none of them are likely left due to the sheer fact that time changes everything. And so, he was still noted to be the strongest creature left on the planet. And, well, that's kind of how it always been. And it's honestly how it was. However, before anything happens, or before Miko can give another question, Balerion is pretty much called back to base here, to which he turns back into his more, I guess you could say, substantial form here, or smaller form here, and, well, heads through the ground bridge with the humans here. And so, RC, Jack, and, well, sorry, not RC, Miko, Jack, and Raph both explain to the Autobots how much fun they had with him here. However, Balerion is pretty much asked to go with Bumblebee on a mission to an Enon Mine, hoping that they can secure at least a decent amount of Energon here. And so, Balerion, along with his yellow companion here, both go through the portal. To which this is where Bumblebee simply asks him, can he ride him afterwards? And Balerion simply rolls his eyes and pretty much states that, yeah, he expected that. He expected that from him. But Balerion does state that it would be his honor to give his companion a ride on his back. And so, with that being said here, they both do manage to secure the Enon Mine here. However, it does become a close call when Balerion is about to use his fire breath, but Bumblebee has to remind them that they have to be a bit more tactical about this and not blow up the Energon. To which Balerion's like, oh yeah, my bad, bro, my bad. So, they secure the Energon. But now we head back to the Decepticon warship here. Lockdown arrives, injured and limping, and presents the weapon that the Decepticons wanted. The Terratex Warp Sword. A dangerous blade. Can even kill the strongest of dragons here. And so, Lockdown states that this had better work. He nearly died getting this here. To which Lockdown not only receives payment from Starscream and Soundwave together, mind you, but this is where he is also receiving medical attention by Knockout. Luckily, it's him just using, his medical skills to take out the Cybertronian spear. By the way, if you want to know the size of the Sauruses here, they are around the size of, Cybertronians. And again, Carnosaur, Dreadsaurians, Stegodon, Razordon, Salamanders, and stuff like that are around the size of the Dinobots, which were, obviously massive in size here. And then as for the dragon size, well, they would be kaiju sized here. If I had to say how big they would definitely be around the size of things like Omega Supremes and Combiners, which were like, I think, 200 to maybe 100 and something feet tall. Just let me know in the comment section down below how tall, Fall of Cybertron Mega Supreme was. And then they obviously would be, taller than that as well here. But, they are taller than Omega Supreme. So with that being said here, yeah, they're pretty much kaiju sized. But again, not overly kaiju sized, if you get what I mean here. And matter of fact, they would actually be around the same size as Kong. All of them here. Obviously, horns do make them look a bit taller than some sort. But again, they are, taller in some places where they're shorter in others, obviously. So with that being said here, this is where Starscream presents the Terratex Warp Sword to Knockout after Lockdown has been repaired and pretty much flees Earth. And so, with that being said here, what happens with this sword here? Well, Starscream picks it up, and the sword feels painful to hold here, as it's simply rejecting him. It doesn't want him, it doesn't choose him here. However, Starscream perseveres through this blade, and so puts it in the hands of Megatron. And then, all of a sudden, the sword begins to glow, and in resonation with the dark energon within Megatron's chest. Suddenly, a flash of bluish and purple light consumes the Decepticon leader. And so, he is transformed into his Sharkticon Megatron state here. And, well, yeah, I would have this here. You see, one of the few things I loved about the Beast Hunters toy line, other than the fact that it should have been in Season 3, and again, it would have been perfect for not only Megatron to have a way to control Predaking, or at least get the Decepticons and Predacons under control here, but to have anti-Predacon weaponry, to have Energon-seeking missiles, And when in a blade form, it has an antimatter tip here. But I'm actually going to have this blade work a bit differently here. You see, the Terratech's Warp Sword not only fuses with Megatron, but it actually makes him stronger. His fusion cannon is still there, but it looks a bit more beast-like the mouth of a Sharkticon here. And so the blade is also there, now on his back as if it were the Dark Star Saber itself. And so Megatron looks at himself, bewildered, but yet he feels it, the power, the energy, and the antimatter as well here. And so this is where Megatron says that before he can even pull the Decepticons together, remind himself of who he truly is. And so Soundwave opens a space bridge where he, Starscream, and Megatron are now standing in the pits of Kaon. And that's where we're going to leave it off here today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share it with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.